So, lost in all the trade deadline and buyout market stuff, there was some news about Al Horford. And the news is that Al Horford is going to sit out the rest of the season. And they're going to look for a trade for him, which we sort of already knew they were looking to trade him. He's been pretty decent this season, but not the direction the Thunder are going in. Horford is 34 years old, and the Thunder are more looking to tank and rebuild and be good in like 5 years rather than this year and next year. So this season, Horford has played 28 games. He's averaged 14 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 3.5 assists, as well as almost a steal and almost a block a game. And he's been a good player and a good mentor. On offense, he can space the floor a little bit, and he's just a smart player in terms of setting screens and popping for three and rolling to the rim, that sort of thing. He can also space the floor a little bit. He's shooting 36% from three on more than 5 attempts a game. And obviously it didn't work out for him in Philadelphia with Embiid, but when he's your center, he's a really good player. And he's also a good, smart defender, not as athletic as he once was, but still knows where to be and can alter shots at the rim and can switch a little bit. So there is reason to believe that some team would trade for him this offseason. In terms of a buyout, this season he's making like 28 million, and then next season he's making 27 million, and then the year after that in 22-23 he's making 26.5 million. That's the last year of his contract, but only 14.5 of that is guaranteed. So if there were to be a buyout, I don't think it would be this season, because there's no way the Thunder are doing that. And one thing, the Thunder are not a team who buys players out. They look to trade them or just wait until their contract runs out. I don't think the Thunder have much interest in having the dead money for the next 10 years. So it won't be this season a buyout. In terms of next season, I could maybe see it if he were willing to give back quite a bit of money. Projecting to next season is tough, but a ton of teams would want him for all the reasons I just stated. His impact on both ends of the floor. A good defensive center who can also shoot threes. That's a hot commodity in the modern NBA. But I think what would be most likely if he's not to get traded would be a buyout in 22-23 when he gives back a little bit of money. He'd be like 36 by then. So if he doesn't get traded, I think they'd probably buy him out then. But with that being said, maybe by then the Thunder are a good team that are looking to actually win games. This season, they're clearly not. Shea is also injured, and I don't know if we'll see him again for the rest of the year. And the Thunder are clearly tanking for a high lottery pick and a chance at a player like Cade Cunningham or Evan Mobley. And then the Thunder also want to give more opportunity to their young guys, and one guy who's benefited from that so far is Moses Brown, who's played very well at center for the Thunder in the last couple of games. Horford is a good mentor. He's an experienced player, and Moses Brown is clearly thriving with more minutes. So we're not going to see Horford again for the rest of the season, and he's not going to get bought out. So now my attention shifts to trades, and the trade deadline has already passed, so it's not going to be this season. This would be this off season or next trade deadline, sometime like that. And the first team I think about is the Hornets, because the Hornets, they need a center, and they have cap room, and they have Biyombo and Zeller's contracts, so they could definitely make it work in terms of the money, and they wouldn't be giving up much and Horford would become their starting center, and then their backup center, they could sign someone, or they could have like Bridges / PJ Washington, 2 fours who can also play the 5 a little bit. If I think of Horford with the Hornets, I think it would definitely work out. They've been interested in Miles Turner, who is sort of a similar-ish player. Horford on offense could space the floor. He's a very good passer, and that would definitely fit into almost every offense, and especially the Hornets offense. They like to move the ball a lot, and Horford could definitely work with that. He can space the floor for LaMelo, who gets inside and finishes inside more than I think we projected it. He knows Gordon Hayward. He's played with Gordon Hayward. 2 smart players there. and I think it would be a great fit. And then defensively, he could be the rim protector that I think they need, and he could also switch a little bit. And he's also a very smart player, can be the anchor of a very good defense, like he has been for quite a few times in his career. So I think that move would definitely make sense on both sides, with the Thunder obviously just getting off of Al Horford, which I'm sure they would do without any compensation. They might even throw in a second round pick just to not have him on the books anymore. So I think that's sort of where a move would happen. And the Hornets are the team I thought of. It's just so hard for every other team because of his massive salary. Like, almost every team could use him, like Brooklyn, Toronto, the Celtics, but they just don't have the money to make it work. So the Hornets are one team. The next team I thought of was the Spurs, because they also have cap room, and I don't really see that one happening. It's not as likely as the Hornets for me, just because the Spurs already have Pirtle. But maybe if they wanted to try and make the playoffs again, re-sign DeRozan, trade for Horford, it could work, and they do have cap room. And then the last team would be the Knicks, sort of a similar situation to the Spurs, where they already have a young center in Mitchell Robinson, but maybe as insurance as a backup. But then again, you don't really want to be paying a backup like $25 million a year. So that's where it doesn't work for me. But the only team I could find was the Hornets. So we'll see what happens with Horford. If I had to predict, I don't know if he'd get traded. I think he'll either get traded this offseason or maybe bought out at the deadline like 2 years from now. So we'll see what happens there. Whether it's the end of the road for Horford or whether we'll see him playing on a really good quality championship level team ever again. It's interesting. I think his legacy, will be as someone who was a really solid player, a good teammate, and someone who was just a winning player. If you think of, he's always really been a winning player. If you think of back in the Atlanta days, how he won like 60 games with Mike Budenholzer, and then moving on to the Celtics, where they had a lot of success making like a couple of conference finals, and then it didn't work with the Kyrie, Hayward, Tatum Brown, Rozier Morris team. And then he moves on to Philly, where it again just didn't really work because, they never should have signed him, to be honest, paying him that much money when they already had Embiid. And then here on the Thunder, he's been a good mentor and all that, but not really getting to have an impact on a winning team. So we'll see what happens. He's sitting out for the rest of the season. Thunder are going to be tanking. And just those are my thoughts. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to this channel for more NBA content, and I'll see you guys next time.